If you replay everything in your head, you're not dramatic. You're not too sensitive. You're not broken. You're trying to feel safe. Your brain keeps rewinding because it believes the past can protect you from the future. It believes if you replay the scene enough, you'll find the perfect line you should have said, and then you'll finally relax. But you never relax. Because replay isn't problem solving. Replay is punishment disguised as preparation. And if you do this at night, if you lie in bed and replay conversations until your chest feels tight, then you already know how exhausting this is. If you replay conversations daily, comment ME. No shame. This is more common than people admit. Today I'll show you the real reason you replay, the loop that keeps it going, and a simple system to break it without trying to think positive. Because you don't need a better thought. You need a better pattern. Part 1. Reflection versus replay. Let's define the truth. Healthy reflection creates learning. Replay creates suffering. Reflection asks, what can I do next time? Replay asks, why am I like this? Reflection ends. Replay loops. Reflection gives you a lesson and a next step. Replay keeps you trapped in the moment like you're stuck in a courtroom watching the same evidence over and over. And that's why replay feels so heavy. Because your nervous system isn't learning. It's scanning for threat after the moment is already over. So here's the key. You replay because your brain believes you missed a threat. A social threat, an emotional threat, a rejection threat. It thinks, if we can find the mistake, we can prevent pain. So it rewinds. Not because you enjoy it, because your brain thinks it's protecting you. But protection becomes prison when the brain doesn't know when to stop. So why does your brain not stop? There are 3 main reasons. Story 1. It wasn't even a big deal. So why am I obsessed? This is the part that makes people feel crazy. You leave a conversation. Nothing huge happened. No screaming, no drama. But your brain says, that was weird. And suddenly, you can't let it go. You replay your tone, their face, the pause, your words, what you should have said. And it keeps looping, like your mind is stuck. That's not because you're weak. It's because your brain is trying to solve uncertainty. Replay is the brain's desperate attempt to get certainty from a moment that already passed. And that's impossible. So the loop continues. Now let's break down the real causes. Part 2. The 3 real reasons you replay. Reason Hasson. Your brain is hunting for control. The first reason is control. Replaying is your brain trying to rewrite the scene. It tells you, if I find the perfect line I should have said, I'll feel safe. Because the brain believes social mistakes are dangerous. Why? Because for humans, rejection used to mean survival risk. Modern life doesn't work like that, but your nervous system still reacts. So when you feel awkward, your brain treats it like danger. And danger triggers a search. It searches for what you did wrong, what you could have said, how to prevent it next time. That part is normal. But replay becomes a problem when your brain starts believing, if I keep searching, I'll eventually feel certainty. And certainty never comes. So it keeps searching. It becomes like a slot machine. Pull the lever, replay. Maybe this time you'll find relief. But the relief is temporary, so you pull again. That's why replay feels addictive. Because it gives a tiny hit of control without real resolution. Reason #2, shame plus perfectionism loop. The second reason is shame. If you believe you must be perfect to be accepted, then any awkward moment feels dangerous. Because perfectionism isn't high standards. Perfectionism is fear with good branding. It sounds responsible. I care about how I come across. I don't want to be rude. I want to communicate well. But underneath it says, I don't want to be judged. I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to lose approval. So after a conversation, your brain puts you on trial. It reviews your words like evidence. It plays back your tone like a recording. It imagines what they think. And shame adds poison to the replay. Instead of, what can I learn? It becomes, what's wrong with me? And when you ask what's wrong with me, you never get an answer that frees you. You only get more fear. So the replay continues. Because you're not just looking for a better line. You're looking for permission to be human. And you will never get that permission from a perfect performance. You get it from self-respect. Reason #3, an unfinished emotional loop. The third reason is unfinished emotion. Sometimes you replay because you didn't express something true. A boundary, a feeling, a need, a disagreement. No. So the emotion stays open. And open loops create mental noise. Your brain keeps rewinding because it's trying to complete the scene. Not intellectually, emotionally. It's trying to finish what you didn't say. That's why some replays feel like, I should have stood up for myself. I should have said no. I should have told the truth. And the replay keeps going because your body knows something was incomplete. So the mind loops it because the nervous system wants closure. And closure doesn't come from replay. It comes from reality. Either you take action or you accept. Part 3, the replay loop. Now, let's map the loop. Trigger, awkward moment. Threat story, I messed up. Replay, shame more replay. Here's how it works. Something small happens. You notice a weird tone, a pausa, a facial expression. Your brain tells a threat story. They're judging me. I sounded stupid. They're mad. I ruined it. Then the replay begins. Replay gives a temporary feeling of control. At least I'm reviewing. But then the shame grows. And shame makes you want more control. So you replay again. That's the loop. And the longer you replay, the harder it is to stop because the nervous system gets more activated. So we need a breaker. Not more thinking. A breaker. Story 2. The conversation you can't let go. Let me make it painfully real. You had a normal conversation. You said something small. They replied with a short, yeah. And your brain decides that means something. So you replay. You imagine they're annoyed. You imagine they're disappointed. You imagine they're talking about you. And now your nervous system is in threat mode. So you start checking. You check your phone. You check if they liked your post. You check if they viewed your story. You look for evidence. That's replay plus investigation. And you call it being aware. No, that's anxiety looking for certainty. And you will never find certainty in other people's minds. So you must exit the game. Part 4, the 3-step replay breaker. Here's the system to break the loop in real time. Step 1, name it. When the replay starts, say, this is replay, not reality. Not, this is who I am. Not, I'm broken. Just replay. Labeling creates distance. You stop being the replay. You become the observer. And the observer can choose a different move. Step 2, shift the question. Stop asking, why am I like this? What did I do wrong? What do they think of me? Those questions feed shame. Instead ask, what is the lesson? And what is the next step? One lesson, one step, then stop. Example, lesson. Next time I'll speak slower. Step, I'll write one sentence to clarify. Done. Lesson, I need to set a boundary sooner. Step, I'll practice one boundary line. Done. Because when your brain gets a lesson and a next step, it can close the tab. Replay continues when the brain feels unfinished. So you give it closure. Step 3, close the loop in reality. The only real cure. Now decide, does this require action or acceptance? If it requires action, do one small closure step. Send a short follow-up. Hey, just wanted to clarify. Make a small repair. I didn't mean it that way. Set the boundary next time. Write the sentence you wish you said, then practice saying it out loud. Not a long explanation. A clean move. If it doesn't require action, then it requires acceptance. And acceptance sounds like, maybe they judged me, maybe they didn't. I can handle either. That is self-trust. Replay happens when you believe you can't handle uncertainty. So you train a new belief. I can handle it. Because your brain calms down when reality is handled, not when the past is re-edited. Story 3, the moment the loop breaks. The first time you do this, it will feel uncomfortable. Because replay is your comfort ritual. It gives you the illusion of control. So when you stop replaying, you feel exposed. But that exposure is not danger. It's freedom. It's you refusing to punish yourself. And after a few days, something changes. Your brain learns, we don't do that anymore. And the replay becomes quieter. Not because life is perfect, because you stopped feeding the loop. Part 5, 3 common mistakes. Mistake has home, trying to win the replay. You can't win. There's no finish line. You exit. Mistake #2, trying to be 100% sure about what they meant. You'll never be sure. Stop trying to mind read. Mistake #3, using replay as self-punishment. If you keep replaying to shame yourself, you're training your brain to fear social life. No, train your brain to learn, act, and move on. Part 6, 7-Day Challenge. Here's your 7-day challenge. For 7 days, whenever replay starts, name it replay, not reality. Write one lesson. Take one tiny action or choose acceptance. That's it. At the end of 7 days, you'll notice your brain still remembers, but it stops punishing you, and you'll feel something new. Space. Not empty space. Peaceful space. The kind of space where you can actually live. You replay everything in your head because your brain thinks the past can protect you from the future. But it can't. The future is handled by action, boundaries, and self-trust. Not rewinding, so break the loop. Name it. Shift the question. Close it in reality. If you want the next video, how to stop rumination at night, comment next. And if this hit you hard, send it to the friend who smiles in conversations and punishes themselves after.